Test the claim.
And to be universal. So my first question to you obviously was, if you write a constitution that your belief system is supposed to grow, does that mean it will grow?
That's not a guarantee that it will grow, no.
Right, okay. So therefore, it's not a given that that would have been a main cause of Christianity's growth, but you're saying it could have contributed, but that wouldn't account for it to encompass 30 million of the 60 million. So then you also said other cults were more selective with recruits, male only, military only, adoption of babies.
Adoption of babies is the next point.
Okay, yes, sorry. So second point, it was more selective. So are you saying Roman paganism was more selective?
Paganism as a whole, no. I'm saying that this particular there are particular groups within paganism that were more selective, and Christianity emerged as one of these, or as a group that was looking for members to join it, and they would take everyone.
So you're saying the people had a belief system, paganism, and they joined Christianity just because, based on the first point, growth was written into its constitution?
No, people have their individual reasons for joining it, which, as I go on, it's not even just about believing it.
Okay. So then obviously you said about adoption of babies.
Yes, can we call your religion?
And the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Appeal to the oppressed. Religion of women and slaves.
Yeah. Couldn't find a source for that quote, but probably some pagan historian. So it was a religion that appealed, had wide appeal in terms of getting everyone on board.
Okay, so
getting the masses on board rather than the elite.
But then wouldn't something have to appeal to people more? So just by saying the first shall be last and the first shall be last and last shall be first. That was what the Roman people found attractive about Christianity.
Some people, some of the oppressed peoples.
Okay. So
is that how do you understand that statement? Is that a statement of equality of the high? If you have a high position in society, you're not going to be the big man in church.
Yeah, well, Christianity does propose that in the afterlife, but then as well, it kind of takes out of context about the historical Jesus, the disciples, the authenticity of their claims. It just you're sort of positing that that these are the main tenets of what appeal to people, because that's why I said it has to be holistically account, because you've not accounted for Jesus or anything. These would sort of be the main reasons why people converted to Christianity, irrespective of all the other parts, which solidifies the argument for Christianity in terms of the death and resurrection. Because my claim would be that 60 million people converted, up to 30 million people converted after the Edict of Milan, because they believed the stories about Christ and his resurrection was true. Because if it was true, that would be a very strong reason for people to abandon their natural paganistic religion and adopt something completely different, which was seen as an obscure Jewish religion.
So the Edict of Milan, this is a couple of generations after the first generation, right?
Right.
So this is after any eyewitness,
right,
of this of the Milan generation.
Right.
So that's not even about the witnesses and the martyrs. That's about the sociological explanation why they're joining this group rather than another group.
Right. So would it then be because obviously the Edict of Milan allowed the freedom of religion?
Yeah.
So therefore, we can see that people were then more willing to change their religion, because the oppression is what stopped people. Because if people knew something should be true, even before, but may not have converted because of fear of persecution, once you let the floodgates out, then once you open the floodgates, then you see that people start rushing into the religion, because there would have been something convincing that made them switch.
Something convincing or something sociologically appealing, like a more a more equal society, a way to.
Well, but that's the whole proponent of Christianity. It's not just about a equality of society. That wasn't just the main appeal, because early Christians were seen as outcasts or obscure or weird.
Right.
So they were counterculture
Right.
to the Roman norms.